What's going on, YouTube? Snails Don't Exist, back today with another book review. Today, taking a look at Stephen King's The Drawing of the Three, which is the second book in the Dark Tower series. It clocks in at, let's see here, 463 pages with this version of the book, at least. Let me start off by saying that The Drawing of the Three is a badass book. Guys, not only did I prefer The Drawing of the Three to The Gunslinger, it may be my favorite Stephen King book of all time. If it's not my favorite, it's definitely in the top three. So if you want to just cut straight to the point, get right at it. This book is fantastic. Go pick it up. Go read it. You will like it. It's a lot different than the first book, and in two respects mainly. First, the overall writing quality of The Drawing of the Three far exceeds The Gunslinger. Stephen King's strengths as a writer are definitely on display here. The book flows better. It avoids mindless details. The character development and descriptions are dense and enriching. It's a lot easier to get lost in this book because of the great writing that's on display here. Far exceeds the Dark Tower, or excuse me, the Gunslinger. So the next point that that really separates The Drawing of the Three from the Gunslinger is the plot. They're night and day different. Seriously, I did not expect The Drawing of the Three to be what it was. Like, it's almost entirely, I mean, I say that loosely, but it's very unconcerned with Roland's world a lot of the time. And what I mean by that is this book primarily takes place in our world, not Midworld. It takes place in New York City, and it's pretty much it's three individual stories, separate stories in the book, and eventually they all come together. But yeah, this book is just the storytelling is just completely different. The plot is just so different than the Gunslinger. So if you had like a negative relationship with the Gunslinger, because I know a lot of people didn't like it, I would suggest giving The Drawing of the Three a shot, because it's so much different, and I'm so excited to read this series, especially after reading this one, that I would hate for someone to stop just because they didn't enjoy the Gunslinger. So yeah, give The Drawing of the Three a shot before you say no. So what makes this book fantastic, and I think it's Stephen King's main strength as a writer, is the character development that exists. So the book, The Drawing of the Three, is about Roland summoning his companions for his quest to find the Dark Tower. And these three characters, plus Roland, they share what's known as a quartet. And it's not too specific what a quartet is, so there's a little bit of the speculation, but it's sort of like a group destiny. They all share this objective, for whatever reason, to pursue the tower. So Roland has to, again, summon these characters, and what makes it so rich, the character development, is the intense amount of diversity that each one of these characters have. The first character that Roland summons, his name is Eddie Dean, and Eddie Dean is a 21-year-old hardcore heroin addict from New York City, from like the slums. So watching Roland, and who's a very traditional sort of like old school style character, interact with Eddie Dean, who's sort of like Jesse Pinkman. It's who he reminds me of, the guy from Breaking Bad. It's hilarious. It's so funny sometimes. It's really entertaining, and it's just badass. I think Eddie's probably my favorite character. The second character that Roland summons to the quartet her name is Odetta, and Odetta has split personality disorder. I mean, this is on the back of the book, and half the time Odetta is a very professional, very intelligent, well-spoken civil rights activist, and the other half of the time Odetta becomes Detta, who is a hooligan, loudmouth, racist, violent, insane character. She's fucking nuts, guys. And this watching her not only interact with the different sides of her own mind, watching these different personalities, this split personality interact with a cowboy and a heroin addict in Roland's world it's pure entertainment. It's awesome stuff. You'll be laughing, you'll be engrossed, it's fantastic, really. So the third character that Roland summons, his name is John, I believe, and he is a straight fucking serial killer. Like he's a psychopath. Like enjoys people's pain, gives him pleasure. Just straight lunatic. So that's it. He's crazy. He's absolutely nuts. You got to get real deep inside his head, and it's just crazy. So you've got a heroin addict, a split personality, and a psychopath, plus a cowboy from a different dimension interacting, all forced into this quartet to go pursue the Dark Tower, which is obviously nuts to these characters from our world. So watching all that unfold is fantastic. It's really, really fun. You will not want to stop reading. The other thing I really, really enjoyed about the drawing of the three, other than the fantastic character development, was it's awesome watching Stephen King write outside of his comfort zone. I mean, we all know that the Dark Tower series is renowned as being a fantasy series, and that's true. I mean, it really is. The classical Stephen King themes definitely are inside this book, but he's really doing a good job at writing a legitimate fantasy series, and I cannot wait to see what the future holds for the series, because you can just tell that shit's going to take off in the future books. But yeah, him writing something completely different than anything that at least I've read and succeeding at it's been really, really enjoyable for these first two books. What did I not like about this book? So two things really. The first thing I didn't like about this book was, it happens very, very early in the book, and I won't get too far into detail, but Roland suffers an injury, a pretty gnarly injury, and it fucks him up. And the reason I didn't like this, because it was like Luke Skywalker getting his fucking arm cut off in the very first 5 minutes of Star Wars. Like, Roland is a badass, and he does some badass stuff in this book. But at the back of my mind, the whole time I'm thinking, man, if he hadn't gotten that injury, he'd be fucking you up even more. Like I just don't know. I just don't like that that Roland got handicapped. It annoyed me. I don't know if you guys thought the same thing. If anyone that's read it, but I thought it was super awkward, and I don't know. I wanted him to be a badass to his full potential, if that makes sense. The second thing I didn't like about this book is although the stories of each of these characters, each of the three that were drawn, are very, very entertaining, and I love learning about them, and I got sort of lost in this world. Stephen King still hasn't. There's not enough details being expanded on the main plot with the tower and the things closely related to the tower. We still don't know jack shit, really, and I let that slide the first book, but I figured he would sort of. I mean, there's a few details, but very, very little. I definitely am getting the impression that Stephen King doesn't know what the tower is either. I don't think anybody fucking knows what the tower is, including Stephen King. So hopefully that doesn't continue, because I just you want to know a little bit. And again, although this book is entertaining, I still am pretty confused as to the tower and Roland's urge to seek it, pursue it. Like, nothing's really discussed on that kind of stuff. So I want to know more about the main quest. So I would imagine in the next book that now that he has got the three drawn, now that he's got his squad ready to go, we'll get more into that stuff, or at least I hope so. Anyway, this book, honestly, guys, it's a really good read. It's fun. It's really funny. It's It's dark again. You will not want to put it down. I highly, highly, highly recommend checking out the Drawing of the Three. You will not regret it. Have a good day, guys.